Someone holds on to you not because you dazzled them with perfection, not because you convinced them with grand gestures, and not because you made life dramatic or intense. Someone holds on to you because with you, love felt effortless. It felt like breathing. It felt like coming home without having to explain the journey. It felt like being understood without constantly translating your heart into words. Effortless love is often misunderstood. People think it means there were no problems, no disagreements, no difficult days. But effortless love is not the absence of storms, it is the absence of fear while walking through them together. It is knowing that even when things are heavy, you don't have to carry the weight alone. It is the quiet confidence that you are allowed to be human, imperfect, tired, confused, and still be chosen. When someone holds on to you for this reason, it is because you made them feel safe being themselves. Not the polished version they show the world, but the real one. The one who doubts. The one who sometimes fails. The one who laughs too loudly or falls silent when words feel too heavy. You didn't demand that they perform love for you. You didn't make affection feel like an exam they had to pass. You allowed them to exist as they were, and in that permission, love became light. Effortless love grows in spaces where there is no constant scorekeeping. Where kindness is not conditional. Where apologies are not weapons and forgiveness is not a favor. You listen not to reply, but to understand. You spoke not to dominate, but to connect. You didn't make them feel small for having emotions. You didn't rush them when they needed time. You didn't disappear when things became inconvenient. That consistency, that quiet reliability, is rare in a world addicted to chaos. Someone holds on to you because with you, they didn't feel like they had to earn love every day. They didn't wake up wondering if today would be the day you changed your mind. They didn't feel the anxiety of walking on eggshells. Love with you didn't feel like survival. It felt like support. It felt like growth without pressure. It felt like being encouraged instead of constantly evaluated. Effortless love speaks softly. It doesn't shout for attention. It shows up. It remembers the small things. It notices when energy shifts. It checks in without accusation. It offers help without keeping a record. You didn't love to control, you loved to care. And care, when it is genuine, becomes a language the heart understands deeply. People don't stay because you were flawless. They stay because you were real. You allowed vulnerability to exist without punishing it. You didn't mock their fears or minimize their dreams. You took their inner world seriously. You treated their emotions as something sacred, not something to be fixed or dismissed. In doing so, you made love feel like a place of rest instead of a battlefield. Effortless love is built in moments most people overlook. In the way you answered messages without making them feel needy. In the way you gave reassurance without being asked. In the way you respected their boundaries without taking it personally. In the way you celebrated their wins without feeling threatened. In the way you stayed calm when misunderstandings arose, choosing clarity over conflict. Someone holds on to you because being with you didn't drain them. It nourished them. Your presence didn't feel like a test of endurance. It felt like renewal. Even silence with you felt comfortable. Even distance didn't feel like abandonment. You trusted them, and that trust gave them room to breathe, to grow, to become better without fear of losing you for evolving. Effortless love doesn't cling, but it also doesn't detach. It balances closeness with freedom. You didn't cage their spirit. You didn't make them choose between love and individuality. You understood that two whole people create a stronger bond than two halves desperately holding on. That understanding made your love feel mature, grounded, and deeply nourishing. People hold on to those who don't turn love into a transaction. You didn't love expecting repayment. You didn't give affection only to receive it back in the same currency. You gave because that's who you were. And in a world where many give only to get, that generosity of heart feels revolutionary. Effortless love is patient. It allows people to arrive at their truths in their own time. You didn't rush their healing. You didn't shame their past. You didn't compare them to others. You saw who they were becoming and chose to walk beside them instead of dragging them forward or leaving them behind. That patience made love feel safe enough to deepen. Someone holds on to you because you made space for honesty. They didn't feel the need to hide parts of themselves to keep your affection. They could speak their truth without fear of punishment. They could admit mistakes without being humiliated. They could say "I don't know" and not feel weak. In your presence, honesty wasn't risky, it was welcomed. Effortless love is not loud, but it is strong. It doesn't rely on dramatic declarations to prove itself. It is proven in consistency, in emotional availability, in the willingness to stay present even when things are uncomfortable. You didn't run at the first sign of difficulty. You didn't shut down when emotions intensified. You leaned in when it mattered. People hold on to those who don't make love complicated on purpose. You didn't play games. You didn't use silence as punishment. You didn't create confusion to feel powerful. You were clear in your intentions, steady in your affection, and honest in your communication. That clarity allowed love to flow instead of constantly being questioned. Effortless love feels like mutual respect. You respected their time, their feelings, their limits, and their individuality. You didn't cross boundaries and call it love. You didn't demand access to every part of them to feel secure. You understood that respect is not distance, it is trust in action. Someone holds on to you because with you, love felt like partnership, not competition. You weren't trying to win arguments, you were trying to understand each other. You weren't trying to be right. You were trying to be connected. You didn't see disagreements as threats, but as opportunities to grow closer through understanding. Effortless love is deeply reassuring. It doesn't constantly ask for proof. It doesn't need to be reminded of its worth. You knew who you were, and that self-awareness created stability. You didn't rely on them to complete you, you invited them to walk alongside you. That confidence made your love feel grounded instead of needy. People hold on to you because you brought peace into their emotional world. In a life filled with expectations, responsibilities, and constant pressure, you were a place where they could rest. You didn't add to their stress. You helped carry it. You didn't make their struggles about you. You stood with them through it. Effortless love doesn't demand perfection. It celebrates progress. You didn't expect them to have everything figured out. You allowed mistakes to be part of the journey. You believed in growth instead of judgment. That belief made love feel forgiving instead of fragile. Someone holds on to you because you loved in a way that felt natural, not forced. You didn't try to fit love into a formula. You allowed it to unfold organically. You trusted the process. You allowed moments to be imperfect and still meaningful. That authenticity created a connection that felt real, not performative. Effortless love is rooted in emotional presence. You were there, not just physically, but emotionally. You noticed changes in tone. You sensed when something was wrong. You asked questions with care. You listened with your heart. That presence made them feel seen in ways words alone cannot describe. People don't forget how you made them feel when love felt easy. When loving you didn't require constant self-abandonment. When being with you didn't mean shrinking or pretending. When your love added to their life instead of consuming it. That feeling stays. That feeling becomes something they protect. Someone holds on to you because with you, love felt like alignment. Like two lives moving in the same direction, even when the pace differed. You didn't pull them away from themselves. You helped them move closer to who they truly were. That alignment is rare, and when found, it is treasured. Effortless love is gentle, but it is not weak. It sets boundaries with kindness. It speaks truth without cruelty. You didn't avoid hard conversations, you approached them with empathy. You didn't choose comfort over honesty. You chose growth over avoidance. That balance made love feel strong and sustainable. People hold on to those who don't disappear emotionally. You didn't withdraw affection as punishment. You didn't shut down to feel in control. You stayed emotionally available even when things were hard. That availability created trust. And trust deepened love. Someone holds on to you because you understood that love is not about possession. It is about appreciation. You didn't try to own them. You chose them. Again and again. That choice, freely given, felt more powerful than any obligation. effortless love feels like being accepted without being settled for. You saw their potential and loved their present. You didn't love a future version of them while tolerating who they were now. You loved them as they were becoming. That made love feel both grounding and inspiring. People stay where they feel emotionally safe, where they can be soft without being taken advantage of, where they can be strong without being resented. You created that safety by being consistent, kind, and emotionally intelligent. That safety became the reason they held on. Someone holds on to you because love with you didn't feel like losing themselves. It felt like finding more of who they were. Your love didn't demand sacrifice of identity. It encouraged authenticity. That kind of love doesn't exhaust, it empowers. Effortless love is not something you force. It is something you allow. You allowed connection to be simple. You allowed affection to be natural. You allowed emotions to be expressed without judgment. In doing so, you showed that love doesn't have to be hard to be meaningful. People don't hold on because you made promises you couldn't keep. They hold on because your presence itself felt like a promise. A promise of respect. A promise of care. A promise of emotional honesty. Those promises, lived daily, mattered more than words. Someone holds on to you because loving you felt like a relief. Like finally putting down emotional armor. Like finally exhaling after holding their breath for too long. That relief is unforgettable. Effortless love leaves a mark not through intensity, but through peace. Not through drama, but through depth. Not through control, but through trust. If someone holds on to you, it is because you made love feel like a place they wanted to stay. Someone holds on to you long after conversations fade, long after circumstances change, long after distance or time tries to interfere, because what you offered was not just love, but emotional ease. You showed them that love does not have to hurt to be real. You proved that connection does not require exhaustion. You taught them that being loved can feel steady, calm, and deeply reassuring. They remember how your presence softened their nervous system. How being with you felt like exhaling after a long day of holding everything together. How they didn't need to impress you, rush themselves, or pretend strength when they were tired. With you, they could lay their burdens down without fear of being judged for carrying them. Effortless love leaves behind a quiet imprint. It doesn't scream for remembrance, but it stays. It becomes the standard they unconsciously compare everything else to. Not because you were perfect, but because you were peaceful. Because love with you didn't feel like an emotional negotiation. It felt like mutual understanding. Even when life pulled you in different directions, what you gave still mattered. Because you showed them that love can be kind without being weak, secure without being controlling, and deep without being suffocating. You showed them that care can exist without chaos, and intimacy can grow without fear. Someone holds on to you because you didn't make love about possession. You made it about presence. You didn't try to anchor them with guilt or obligation. You let them stay because they wanted to, not because they were afraid to leave. That freedom made your connection honest, not fragile. They hold on because you didn't abandon yourself to be loved. You remained whole, grounded, emotionally available, and self-aware. That balance made them feel safe to be whole too. You didn't demand they complete you. You invited them to walk with you. And that invitation felt like respect. Effortless love teaches people something they never forget, that love does not need to be chased, proven, or survived. It can be chosen gently. It can grow quietly. It can feel like peace instead of pressure. So if someone still holds on to you, even in memory, even in silence, even from afar, it is because you gave them a feeling they don't often find. A love that didn't drain them. A connection that didn't confuse them. A presence that didn't disappear when things became real. They hold on because you showed them what love could feel like when it is healthy, human, and emotionally safe. And once someone experiences love like that, they never fully let it go.